With every passing episode, old alliances are being tested, new rivalries are emerging, and the cost of war continues to grow. The decisions made by both the Blacks and the Greens are affecting not only kings and queens but also the ordinary people caught between two powerful factions. In today's video, we're taking a deep dive into everything surrounding Season 3 Episode 5. We'll discuss the major themes from the latest developments in the series, analyze the motivations of the key characters, connect them to George R.R. Martin's world in Fire and Blood, and explore what the official promotional material suggests could happen next. Whenever we move into predictions, we'll clearly identify them as speculation rather than confirmed events. If you're a fan of House of the Dragon, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more episode breakdowns, theories, and character analyses. Now, let's begin. One of the most fascinating aspects of this season is how dramatically the nature of the conflict has evolved. In the early chapters of the story, much of the tension came from politics, succession, and family disagreements. Characters were still trying to avoid a full-scale civil war, even while preparing for the possibility that it might become unavoidable. Now, that hesitation is disappearing. Every major house understands that neutrality becomes harder to maintain with each passing day. The longer the conflict lasts, the more pressure every lord, knight, and bannerman faces to declare where their loyalty truly lies. That shift changes everything. War is no longer an abstract possibility, it has become the defining reality of Westeros. When many viewers first hear the phrase Dance of the Dragons, they naturally imagine spectacular battles between dragons in the sky. Those moments are certainly part of the story. But George R.R. Martin has always emphasized something even more important: power alone does not create a successful ruler. Throughout the history of Westeros, we've seen powerful kings lose their kingdoms because they lacked wisdom. We've also seen seemingly weaker rulers succeed because they understood diplomacy, patience, and the importance of earning trust. That lesson feels especially relevant now. Whether discussing Rhaenyra's camp or the Greens, the central question isn't simply who has more military strength. It's who can unite enough people to survive a war that threatens to consume everyone. One of the most compelling parts of the series is watching Rhaenyra evolve from an ambitious heir into a queen forced to make impossible decisions. Leadership in Westeros is never simple. Every victory creates new enemies. Every compromise disappoints someone. Every order carries consequences that may not become visible until much later. That is why Rhaenyra's story continues to resonate. She isn't simply trying to claim the Iron Throne. She's trying to prove that her claim represents a better future for the realm. Whether she succeeds depends not only on military victories but also on her ability to keep allies united under enormous pressure. No discussion of Team Black would be complete without Daemon. Daemon remains one of the most unpredictable figures in the entire series. His confidence, experience, and fearlessness make him one of Rhaenyra's greatest assets. At the same time, those same qualities can create tension whenever caution might be the wiser course. One of the reasons Daemon remains such an interesting character is that he rarely views problems the same way as everyone else. While others debate strategy, Daemon often focuses on decisive action. That difference in outlook doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong. It simply reflects another philosophy of leadership. The contrast between Daemon's instincts and Rhaenyra's measured approach continues to create some of the richest character dynamics in the series. It would be a mistake to view the conflict as a simple story of heroes versus villains. One of the strengths of House of the Dragon is its willingness to present characters with understandable motivations, even when viewers strongly disagree with their choices. The Greens continue believing that their cause is justified. From their perspective, they're protecting what they see as the lawful succession. That conviction gives them resilience. Even when setbacks occur, belief in their cause encourages them to continue fighting. This complexity is one of the reasons the Dance of the Dragons has remained such a compelling chapter in the history of Westeros. Every side believes history will eventually prove them right. The war affects far more than the members of House Targaryen. Every battle disrupts trade. Every rumor spreads uncertainty. Every political decision affects thousands of ordinary people who have little influence over the conflict itself. This broader perspective gives emotional weight to the series. The struggle for the Iron Throne isn't simply changing who rules. It's changing how an entire kingdom lives. Families wonder whether their homes will remain safe. Merchants worry about roads becoming dangerous. Small folk fear becoming casualties in battles they never chose. These quieter consequences often receive less attention than dragon battles, yet they remain central to understanding the tragedy of civil war. Without discussing future book events in detail, it's worth remembering that Fire and Blood consistently portrays the Dance of the Dragons as a devastating conflict whose consequences extend far beyond individual victories or defeats. One of George R.R. Martin's recurring themes is that civil wars rarely produce true winners. Even the side that ultimately prevails often suffers losses that reshape the kingdom for generations. Even the side that ultimately prevails often suffers losses that reshape the kingdom for generations. Rather than focusing only on spectacle. As the season progresses, viewers should pay attention not only to major confrontations but also to quieter conversations. Watch how advisors influence rulers. Notice who gains confidence after each victory. Observe which alliances appear strongest, and which seem increasingly fragile. In House of the Dragon, those subtle shifts often become just as important as the largest battles. As the conflict deepens, one of the most fascinating aspects of the story is that Rhaenyra's greatest challenge isn't always the enemy across the battlefield. It is maintaining unity among the people who have sworn to support her. Every ruler wants loyal advisors, but true leadership is tested when those advisors disagree. Some believe decisive military action is the only path to victory. Others argue that preserving alliances and protecting the realm from unnecessary destruction must remain the priority. These competing perspectives create some of the series' most compelling dramatic moments. Rather than presenting leadership as simple, House of the Dragon shows how every major decision has consequences that ripple far beyond the immediate crisis. As viewers, we're invited to ask ourselves an important question: if you were sitting on the Iron Throne, what choice would you make? Power often looks glamorous from the outside. Kings and queens command armies. They hold court in magnificent castles. They decide the fate of kingdoms. Yet the series constantly reminds us that every decision comes with a cost. A single order can change thousands of lives. Choosing one ally may alienate another. Showing mercy can be interpreted as weakness. Showing strength can be remembered as cruelty. That balance is what makes Rhaenyra's storyline so engaging. She isn't simply trying to win a war. She's trying to prove that she deserves to rule once the war is over. Winning the throne and governing successfully are two very different challenges. Dragons remain the greatest symbol of House Targaryen's power. Their presence can influence negotiations before a single sword is drawn. But dragons alone cannot guarantee lasting peace. History throughout Westeros has shown that kingdoms are ultimately held together by trust, loyalty, and cooperation. That theme becomes increasingly important as the Dance of the Dragons continues. Every alliance matters. Every promise matters. Every broken oath matters. When trust begins to disappear, even overwhelming military strength may not be enough to hold a kingdom together. Daemon has always approached problems differently from almost everyone around him. Where others see obstacles, he often sees opportunities. Where others hesitate, he acts. Those qualities have earned him admiration from some characters. One reason Daemon remains so popular among fans is that he constantly challenges the people around him. He refuses to accept comfortable assumptions. He believes difficult decisions should be made quickly and confidently. Whether that philosophy ultimately helps or harms Team Black depends on circumstances. Sometimes bold action changes the course of history. At other times, patience proves to be the wiser strategy. The tension between those two ideas continues to define many of the show's strongest relationships. One element that separates House of the Dragon from many fantasy dramas is its willingness to show that war affects everyone, not just nobles and dragon riders. Behind every political decision are ordinary families trying to survive. Merchants wonder whether trade routes remain safe. Farmers worry about harvests. Children grow up surrounded by uncertainty. These quieter moments help remind viewers that the struggle for the Iron Throne extends far beyond castles and battlefields. It becomes a story about the future of an entire kingdom. Alicent continues to occupy one of the most complicated positions in the story. She is surrounded by competing ambitions while carrying responsibilities that extend beyond politics. Her choices often reflect an effort to protect both her family and the stability of the realm. Whether viewers agree with those choices or not, her perspective adds depth to the conflict by reminding us that each side believes it is acting for the greater good. That complexity is one of the reasons House of the Dragon avoids simple heroes and villains. Instead, it presents flawed individuals making difficult choices under extraordinary pressure. Another figure whose importance continues to grow is Aemond. His confidence, determination, and willingness to embrace responsibility have made him a central figure within the Greens. Yet confidence can be both a strength and a weakness. History repeatedly shows that capable leaders must balance boldness with restraint. Watching how Aemond navigates that balance remains one of the most interesting aspects of the season. Let's shift into clearly labeled speculation. One popular fan theory is that the next phase of the conflict will depend less on spectacular battles and more on political momentum. Rather than one decisive victory, both factions may compete to secure additional allies, strengthen existing relationships, and undermine the confidence of their opponents. Another theory suggests that seemingly minor conversations in recent episodes could become much more significant later in the season. The series has often rewarded careful viewers by turning subtle moments into major developments. These ideas remain fan speculation until confirmed by future episodes. As you continue watching the season, pay attention to recurring themes rather than only dramatic moments. Notice how often characters discuss legacy. Listen for conversations about duty, honor, and responsibility. Observe how different rulers define strength. These themes help explain why characters make the decisions they do, even when those decisions appear surprising at first. As the dance of the dragons grows more intense, it's easy to focus all our attention on Rhaenyra and Team Black. But one of the biggest reasons this story remains so compelling is that the Greens are far more than simple antagonists. Every major member of Team Green believes they're fighting for the future of the realm, even if they disagree on how to achieve it. That's what makes this civil war so tragic. It's not a battle between heroes and villains. It's a battle between two sides that each believe history is on their side. As viewers, we may support one faction over the other, but the series constantly reminds us that everyone involved is paying an enormous price. Among the Greens, Aemond has become one of the most fascinating characters. Over the course of the series, he has transformed from someone who felt overlooked into a warrior and leader capable of commanding respect. His confidence is undeniable. His determination is unquestionable, yet those same qualities can create enormous pressure. Leadership means making difficult choices without knowing whether they're correct. Every commander eventually faces moments where there is no perfect answer, only the option that seems least dangerous. As the season progresses, Aemond's decisions will continue to shape not only his own future but the future of everyone fighting beside him. While dragons dominate the skies, Alicent continues to demonstrate that influence can take many forms. She isn't known for leading cavalry charges or riding into battle. Instead, her strength often comes from understanding people. She knows that words can sometimes accomplish what armies cannot. Throughout the series, Alicent has balanced family, politics, and duty in ways that rarely produce easy victories. Whether viewers agree with her choices or not, it's impossible to deny that she remains one of the most influential figures in the story. Her perspective reminds us that wars are fought not only with swords and dragons but also with conversations, negotiations, and difficult compromises. Criston Cole remains one of the most debated characters among fans. Some admire his discipline and commitment. Others believe his actions have contributed significantly to the kingdom's growing instability. Regardless of opinion, his role highlights an important truth about warfare. Winning battles requires far more than courage. It demands planning, communication, Logistics. The ability to inspire confidence under pressure. Commanders must constantly balance immediate objectives with long-term consequences. That responsibility often receives less attention than dramatic battles, yet it plays an essential role in determining who ultimately prevails. One of the central messages of House of the Dragon is that dragons are extraordinary weapons, but they cannot solve every problem. A dragon may win a battle. It cannot rebuild trust. It cannot heal divided families. It cannot erase fear from the hearts of ordinary people. This idea appears repeatedly throughout the series. Every time dragons take flight, they remind us of House Targaryen's incredible strength. But they also remind us of the dangers of relying solely on power. True leadership requires much more. Another recurring theme is reputation. In Westeros, stories spread quickly. Sometimes those stories are accurate. Sometimes they become exaggerated with every retelling. Yet perception often shapes reality. If a ruler is viewed as decisive, allies may feel more confident. If that same ruler appears uncertain, opponents may see an opportunity. This psychological aspect of leadership is just as important as military strength. Every public appearance. Every speech. Every alliance. Every victory. All contribute to the image each claimant projects across the Seven Kingdoms. One element viewers should continue watching closely is the role of the great houses that have not fully committed themselves. Throughout the history of Westeros, powerful families often waited before declaring loyalty. They observed. They gathered information. They evaluated which side appeared most likely to succeed. That hesitation could prove increasingly important as the conflict evolves. Even a single influential house changing its position might affect the balance of power far more than many viewers expect. Now let's discuss a few fan theories. One popular idea is that the remainder of the season will place greater emphasis on political strategy than outright military confrontation. Rather than resolving the conflict through one decisive battle, both sides may continue competing for influence across Westeros. Another theory suggests that personal relationships will become even more significant than battlefield victories. The Dance of the Dragons has always been, at its heart, a family tragedy. As tensions rise, emotional decisions may shape events just as much as military planning. Remember, these are fan theories and have not been confirmed by HBO. As future episodes unfold, pay attention to the quieter moments. Notice who stands beside whom during council meetings. Watch how characters react before they speak. Observe which advisors receive the most attention from rulers. House of the Dragon often communicates important information through subtle performances rather than direct exposition. These details can reveal shifting loyalties long before characters openly declare them.